Hey guys, just another quick one here for you today, covering the big matchup between Penn State and Maryland in the Program Football League. The Program Football League is a college style league where general managers utilize redshirt rules. Players can't play beyond their sixth season, and that is if they got a red shirt and a medical red shirt. Most players only play 5 seasons, and they only get 4 actual active seasons. Although the medical red shirt is a little different because you can play in up to 9 games. If you get hurt before you complete 10 games or before you play more than 9 games, then you get the medical red shirt. And that is only if the player goes on the actual IR in the NFL. And then the manager in this league puts that player on the IR and leaves him there for the entire season. So the player could actually get healthy by the end of the season. But if you leave him on the IR, you can get the medical red shirt. And a real quick note on medical red shirts. I was looking at a guy named Anthony Nelson today, this morning, excuse me. And we just implemented this medical red shirt as of 2022. So when I go and look at a player to determine if he can get a medical red shirt, somebody like Anthony Nelson, for example, see if I can find him down here. He's a linebacker. He is actually on Penn State's roster. Bear with me. Okay, there's Anthony Nelson. You pull up his player card, you look at his history, and you can see that he's playing in his fifth season right now. So what I would do, because we implemented this red shirt, this medical red shirt rule in 2022, I have to do a little research when it comes to his sixth year. So at the end of the year, I'm going to determine whether or not Anthony Nelson is going to be a graduate or not. He already got a normal red shirt because he scored less than 11 points in a couple of seasons here. That's one way to get a red shirt. The other way is for the manager to actually initiate the red shirt. In this case, he got the automatic red shirt because he didn't score more than 11 points in 2020 and 2019. So he was eligible to play in his fifth season. But at the end of the year, I have to look and see if he had a medical reason for being out at any time in his previous career. Now, in the future, of course, going forward, the rules I just outlined earlier, where you have to put the player on the IR, he has to be on the actual NFL IR, and you have to leave him there for the entire season to get the medical red shirt. Those rules are in place from here on. But I will give GMs a retro medical red shirt if the player was ever on the IR and did not play in more than 9 games in a given season. So what I do is I'll go back, find the player, I'll look up his Wikipedia page first, right here, and see if I can get any information here. A lot of times I'll just run a search for injured, and if I don't get a hit, then I know that the Wikipedia page isn't going to show me anything. Then I'll go back and just kind of search the news for him. Anthony Nelson, injured reserve, perhaps. I'm typing with one finger because I have to hold the microphone. Sorry, guys. I'm working on getting a stabilizer here and a decent desk situation. But for now, I'm not trying to make some big footprint on YouTube. I'm not trying to be a big YouTube all star. I'm just doing this for the league, for the leagues that I run. I run a basketball league as well. At any rate, that's how I go about finding the old medical red shirts, see if I can get a retro one for the player. At any rate, let's get back to the matchup. Last night was Thursday Night Football, as you all know, and one big game for Penn State. Anthony Nelson, that's the guy we were talking about just now, scored almost 3 points. That's pretty good for a defensive player in this league. I think the line between a good game, an adequate game, and a less than adequate game is 3 points. So Anthony Nelson, almost 3 points. Nice effort for him. Over on the other side, nothing to really speak of for Maryland, so they're going to have to look to the rest of their team for some more points on Sunday and Monday. At any rate, I put together a little injured list for these two teams. Looks like Penn State has several players that are going to be out this week. Achane is out until week 11 with a knee issue. Chris Brooks, running back, the other Miami running back they have, is out with an ankle injury. He's going to be out for until week 12. Jelani Woods, the tight end, who was good last year, he scored 20 points. So an adequate tight end in this league, where it's really hard to get tight ends. It's kind of a write-off position for many teams. He has a hamstring issue, but he's supposed to be coming back possibly this week. So we'll see what happens there. That would be much needed help for Penn State right now, who has some serious issues in the running game. And Derek Forrest, The defensive back is out with a shoulder injury. And by the way, those of you who just stumbled across the channel, we do use individual defensive players in this league. That is the future of fantasy football, individual defensive players, because we all love those defensive players as much as we love those offensive players. And having team defenses is basically archaic. And this is going to be the future of fantasy football. As for Maryland, only one injury. Kobe Bryant, the defensive back, he's out with a toe issue. There are other injuries for the Terps, however. They have a lot of them in their secondary, but they're not listed as out yet. You got Benjamin St. Just out. He had a big week last week. He's their leader. Um, Alante Taylor also with an issue. He had a nice week last week. He's definitely one of their better guys. They have a pretty deep secondary, as you can see. A lot of red flags here, so a little bit of concern for Maryland. And then other than that, they're pretty healthy, it looks like. As for Penn State, they've got a lot of things to talk about here on injury front. Of course, we talked about Achane. He's out this week. Chris Brooks out. That's important right there. But they do have some good backups at running back. Jaleel McLaughlin. Also, for those of you that stumbled onto the channel, this is a best ball league, this college-style league. So that means all you have to do is scout players, put them on your roster. If they have a big game, they'll rise to the box score. Last week, Penn State's owner, Denny Copeland, picked up Darrell Henderson. That was a very nice pickup, and he performed for them, 3.62 points. And going forward, it looks like he is going to be locked into an important role with the Rams, with their main running back, Kyron Williams, out with a knee issue probably until week 12. So for now, Darrell Henderson is the man. Nice pickup for Penn State, and it really saves them from some serious injuries here. But of course, Achane was a huge scorer, huge contributor, averaging 10 points. That's unbelievable. As far as wide receivers are concerned, nothing really big to report here. Their leader is Jordan Addison, the rookie. Huge week last week in the absence of Justin Jefferson, of course. Other than that, not a lot of big games, but they expect things from Christian Watson. And he should be good to go this week. No injury issues with Watson. And, he's probably due for a big game. As far as the tight end position, we always talk about, how this year, kind of a write-off position for a lot of teams. On the defensive front, pretty bad performance last week. They're looking for more from Victor Dumi. Oh boy, that name, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it for now. I'll have to look that one up and get to it later. But you guys can see it on screen here. That guy. He needs to get that 2.1 average or better. If you look at his numbers this season, if I can get it. Yep, here we go. As you can see, he hasn't really had any huge games other than week 1, but, he is a factor, and they need him because the defensive line is not that great for Penn State. One of the strengths of this team is their linebacker position. Jordan Brooks, of course, always a great linebacker. Big game last week. Dennis Gardeck also with a decent game last week. No injuries there, so they look pretty good. The secondary, fairly healthy except for Derek Forrest here. Derek Forrest is not going to play. He's out for until week 10 with a shoulder issue, as I said before. So not the deepest secondary here for Penn State, but they have enough to win. Their quarterback, of course, Tua Tagovailoa, one of the hottest in the league, struggled a little bit last week, but he should have a decent game. He should be due for a rebound. And let's move over to Maryland. So the Terrapins, of course, Joe Burrow all season been struggling. He's going to be very important to their game. They're hoping for him to have a good week against the Niners. And, that might be easier said than done. As you can see, he's still capable of the big game, but it's been largely a very disappointing season for Joe Burrow. I mean, they missed the opportunity to redshirt him now. That ship has sailed. The only thing that could happen is maybe Joe Burrow gets injured before he plays 9 games and gets a medical red shirt. Other than that, this is this guy's last season in this league. He was never redshirted. So Joe Burrow is in his senior season, and the Maryland Terrapins are going to be in the position of needing a quarterback to lead their organization going forward. Other than that, they have a solid running game behind Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson. Robinson struggled badly last week. Hall had a bye. They're really going to need Hall to come back and perform this week, and they need a snapback game from Bijan Robinson. Other than that, some decent backs who can put up a game here and there. Justice Hill, of course, getting playing time right now with the Ravens, and Kenneth Gainwell, always dangerous. The wide receivers, Devontae Smith is capable of huge things. Nathaniel Dell was on a week off last week, so he should get back to business, working with CJ Stroud in Houston. They've got a fairly deep wide receiver core here. Nick Westbrook. After that, it falls off a little bit, but these guys can come up. Last week, Alec Pierce showed up in the box score with 2.72 points. Not a bad game. The tight ends, of course, one of those write-off positions. Another team writing off the tight end. The defensive line is very strong for Maryland with Jonathan Cooper, Michael Dana, and Jonathan Greenard. Greenard, of course, one of the up-and-coming stars of the NFL. This is a very good pass rush that Maryland fronts. The linebackers are also strong with Pete Werner, Montez Sweat, and Caden Ellis, all strong and all healthy. And the secondary, of course, we talked about. They've got some red flags here, but these guys are not listed as out. So Maryland stands a pretty good chance of fielding a fairly healthy team. If you look at these two teams as far as like scoring on the season, they're very close. This is the tight game because 291 for Maryland, 291 for Penn State. These teams are literally neck and neck. They are only separated by about 0.15 points on the entire season. And that's why this is the game of the week. And as you can see, they sit atop the standings. They have championship aspirations. Both of them do. Terrapins here, Penn State Nittany Lions here at third. So this is your game of the week. I'm going to get around to the other games a little later, probably on Saturday. I'm going to be busy the rest of the day today. That's why I wanted to put out this video really quickly so that I could get it over with and then move on to the other matchups come Saturday when I have a little bit more time. But that's about it for now, guys. I'll talk to you on Saturday.